Welcome back to another edition of Baseball for Maniacs. So, I think about a couple weeks back, maybe a week ago, I did an episode on why the Mets offseason makes no sense. They proceeded to go get Freddie Peralta, Luis Robert Jr. So, that video kind of doesn't hold any merit now because I think the Mets have had a pretty good offseason. There's some moves I would have made differently, but this episode isn't about the New York Mets. It got me thinking, okay, the Mets are probably the most legitimate threat to the Philadelphia Phillies to contend for the NL East title. But a team that not a lot of people are talking about is the Atlanta Braves. And that's the topic of this video is, are the Atlanta Braves a legitimate threat to win the NL East? And I think they are. Now, I would probably rank the Mets number one and then the Braves number two, but I think they're very close. And in all reality, I don't want to be too much of a homer. So I do believe the New York Mets going into the season are the favorites to win the NL East. I think the Phillies are second, and I think the Atlanta Braves are third. But I think it's very close, and what I think is going to determine who wins the NL East is going to be health. So let me log in here. All right, so I'm going to go through the Braves roster and kind of just point out their strengths, their weaknesses, and then kind of let you guys decide how you think the Atlanta Braves season will shape up. And before I get into this episode, it's so funny because in 22 and 23, when the Phillies played the Braves in the playoffs, that rivalry got reignited. It was one of the best in baseball. So it kind of got me thinking, or not really thinking, but the Mets were in the rearview mirror because in 22 they lost in the wild card round. 23 they were terrible, but when we faced the New York Mets in the 2024 playoffs, and those uneducated Mets fans came out of the woodworks, it just reconfirmed that the Mets are my most hated team in baseball, and it doesn't even compare to the Atlanta Braves of my dislike for them. And I actually went to Truist Park this past year for the first time. And I'll tell you what, about Atlanta Braves fans, they are some of the nicest people I have ever met. I wore my Phillies gear, had no problems. They were very friendly. I guess that's that Southern hospitality. And it got me thinking maybe I'm the problem sometimes with how I use my fan base or whatever. But no, absolutely not. I'm not going to apologize for who I am. But yeah, overall, Atlanta Braves fan base, a great community. But let's get into the rotation. And I think, just like I said in the beginning of this video, what's going to determine who wins the NL East is health. But if the Braves stay healthy, they could be a legit problem. Let's not forget, they won 100 games in 22 and 23. 24, 25, they were riddled with injuries. But their starting rotation, let's go through it. Their ace, Chris Sale. So Chris Sale's a dog. I mean, when he got to Atlanta, he went to prime Chris Sale mode. When it was the Sale versus Vaughn Grissom trade, I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense for both teams. Vaughn gets a chance to play in Boston, maybe lives up to the prospect that he was destined to be in Atlanta. That didn't happen, but I never expected this out of Chris Sale. So if Chris Sale stays healthy, he is one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. They're number two, Spencer Strider. So he is the one Brave I dislike the most. I don't like his energy. I don't like the way he threw up at Harper, and everyone says it wasn't intentional. I don't think it was intentional, but it's like, dude, if you can't live up in the zone, don't throw up in the zone. So I don't like Spencer Strider, but last year was his first year coming off. It wasn't TJ, it was something else. It was like the internal brace. But essentially he was coming back from Tommy John. And he didn't have a good year. But like I said before with Andrew Painter, and guys coming off that kind of elbow surgery, it really takes them a full year pitching to get back to the form they were. So if Spencer Strider returns to his 2023 form, that 1-2 punch is going to be deadly. And then let's get into their 3, 4, 5 guys. So Spencer Schwellenbach, he missed I think the end of the year last year with an injury. Again, health is the main importance for the Atlanta Braves and really any Major League Baseball team. But if he pitches like he can, Spencer Schwellenbach is a damn good pitcher. That's 3 legit starting pitchers right there to where they could be a problem. Ronaldo Lopez, I don't know. I mean, he had a really good 2024 season when he made his transition from the bullpen to the rotation. So I think if he's your 4 and he could log some innings for you, that's pretty good. Um, Bryce Elder's probably going to be a non-factor. He's not a good starting pitcher at all. Grant Holmes, pretty decent arm. Uh, AJ Smith-Shawver, I think, is going to miss the whole year with Tommy John, so that sucks for the Atlanta Braves. Because he was just like getting into his groove last year. I believe it was against Philadelphia where he hurt himself, and you never want to see that for a young guy, no matter what team they're playing for. You want as much talent in Major League Baseball, so he's not going to be a factor. But they got Joey Wentz listed as well. So I think if the Braves rotation stays healthy, that could be their strong suit, dude. So yeah, the Braves got a damn good rotation. Let's go into their bullpen, which was terrible last year, but I don't think they're going to be elite, but I think they're going to have a very good bullpen. Raisel Iglesias is going to be their closer. So he had a terrible start to the year. It was actually funny. I looked at the stats. So I went to the Phillies Braves game at the end of June, and his stats from then to the end of the season, he had a sub 2 ERA. He was one of the best closers in baseball. So they re-signed him. So I think he's going to be a very good closer for them. And then the signing they made, Robert Suarez, to set up games for you, it was a 3-year, $45 million contract. I think that's a steal because I think he's 34, 35, but you've seen with relievers, like, they've been able to extend their career. Kenley Jansen is a former Brave, an example. So I think that 1-2 punch of closing games is going to be very good for the Atlanta Braves, barring any injuries. Then you got Dylan Lee. Bryce Harper killed him in the playoffs. Love that. But Dylan Lee's a good lefty. Aaron Bummer, he's a good lefty specialist, but he's always hit or miss for me, but he's not a bad reliever. Tyler Kinley, I think, is pretty good. So bullpens are always so fickle in how to predict them because a lockdown closer could just have one bad year. Like Edwin Diaz had in 2019. It was one of the worst seasons from a reliever. Then again, he turned it around and became one of the best closers in baseball. So going into the season, I think they have a good bullpen, but we're just going to have to see how that plays out. And let's get into the position players. Catcher. I think they have the best catching duo in Major League Baseball. Sean Murphy, Drake Baldwin. I'm a huge Drake Baldwin fan. That young kid, like, I think he has that it factor, and he's a hitter. He's like a pure hitter. He's a clutch guy. I think he's going to be very valuable to the Atlanta Braves, and it takes a lot of pressure off of him that he has a guy like Sean Murphy that can back him up. But I think the playing time is going to be like 60-40 because you can always have Baldwin DH a game, Sean Murphy DH a game. So having those two catchers, like everyone was saying, maybe they trade Sean Murphy to get off the contract, and Sean Murphy's major problem has been health. Ever since that first half of the 2023 season, he's kind of digressed. But I mean, if he stays healthy, Sean Murphy is a damn good player, and he's only making 15 AAV for a catcher with that level of production. That's a good contract. It just all depends on if he stays healthy. So I think that catching duo is going to be elite, unfortunately, for the Atlanta Braves. First base, Matt Olson. Excuse me. Matt Olson had a great year last year. He's just very consistent, great power hitter, plays good defense. I think he gets a weird rep in Atlanta just because he was the guy that replaced Freddie Freeman, and there's no replacing Freddie Freeman. He is an Atlanta Brave. The fact that they let Freddie Freeman go was a huge mistake, and I think that left a really big impact on the clubhouse because right when he left, the Braves started losing. Not losing, like they still made the playoffs, but I think Freddie Freeman was that clubhouse guy similar to Dansby Swanson to where I wouldn't have let him walk. But if you replace Freddie Freeman with Matt Olson, you're not losing too much there. I still think Freddie is the better player slightly, but Matt Olson is a really good player. Second base, big wild card, Ozzy Albies. So he's not had a good last couple years, but if he returns to any sort of form from his 2023 season, I think that spells like good news for the Atlanta Braves. I don't know if he'll ever get back to that form, but his contract is so team friendly to where if he just plays good defense and he can bat ninth for you, you're getting your money's worth out of Ozzy Albies. So we're just gonna have to see what kind of 2026 season he has. Shortstop. So it was going to be Hassan Kim, but unfortunately he had a hand injury. I think he broke his hand when he was ice skating in Korea. So that's not good. You paid him $20 million and he's going to be out 4 to 5 months. Now, they did pivot to Jorge Mateo. I mean, Jorge Mateo he's an average player. I think he's going to do just fine filling in until Hassan Kim returns. But they also got that guy, I'm probably going to botch the name, Marcio Dubon. He was like a utility guy in Houston. Good player, good defender. So I don't think shortstop's going to be that much of a problem. It's definitely not their strong suit. But I think Mateo can hold it down up till the point when Hassan Kim is ready to return. And even when Hassan Kim returns, I don't think he's worth 20 million AAV. I just don't think he's that guy. I think he's a fine shortstop, but definitely not going to be their strength this year. But in 23, when they won 100 games, they had Orlando Arcia as shortstop, our beloved Orlando Arcia, dude. But he played great defense. He just couldn't hit. So I'm not too worried about shortstop because they've been here before. Do-do. All right. And then left field, Jurickson Profar. So it's pretty evident that he was on steroids when he had his big year in San Diego, right before he got that contract with the Atlanta Braves. But I mean, if he's playing left field for you, I think he could be a 750 OPS guy. He's going to play okay defense. Left field's not too bad, but it's nothing too great. Center field, Michael Harris. So Michael Harris' season last year was a tale of two halves. He was quite literally the worst hitter in Major League Baseball the first half of the year, but he turned it on in the second half. I believe he made a swing adjustment. But Michael Harris, so at your floor with Michael Harris, you're going to get one of the best defensive center fielders in Major League Baseball. And if he's batting ninth for you, with that production he does on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, that's not one of the best, but it's the center field position in Major League Baseball is so weak, to where I don't think they're going to have a problem there. And if, again, this is all predicated on if some of these players return to their 2023 form. So I don't think they'll ever return to that form, like similar to Michael Harris. But if you could be somewhere in the middle with his defense, I think Michael Harris is a damn good center fielder. Right field. So they got Ronald Acuna Jr. Now he's not going to play every day in right field. He's going to DH some games just because of his injury history. The thing about Ronald Acuna Jr. is, man, he is one of the best baseball talents we have ever seen. I posted a TikTok, future Phil, maybe. I just don't think the Atlanta Braves are going to pay him. One, they're not a cheap franchise, but they're not like top five. And Ronald Acuna Jr., when he gets on the open market in like 2 to 3 years, if he stays relatively healthy, he's going to get a bag. So I was like, well, maybe come to Philly. Like, we got the money. Why not? But the thing with him, and basically this entire theme of the video, is health. If Ronald Acuna Jr. stays healthy, he's one of the 5 best players in baseball. So I'm very worried for that because his 2023 season, man, dude, that was a sight to see. It's like, obviously you don't want a Atlanta Brave being successful because, I'm a Philadelphia Phillies fan, but if you can kind of sit back and take your bias out of it, watching what he did in 2023, from stealing bases, hitting 40 bombs, just being such a fun watch and just growing the game of baseball. I love me some Ronald Acuna Jr. And then Mike Yastrzemski is going to be their 4th outfielder. That was an interesting pickup for me, but I feel like it kind of makes sense to where he can spell all the outfielders a day off. And Mike Yastrzemski, if he's going to give you a 750 OPS as a 4th outfielder, that's pretty good. And then designated hitter, it's just going to be a mix of Drake Baldwin, Sean Murphy, Mike Yastrzemski, Ronald Acuna Jr. It's going to be like a revolving door, which a lot of big league teams have now. Not many teams have a legit designated hitter like the Phillies have with Kyle Schwarber, like the Dodgers have with Shohei Ohtani. The DH role, when it was added to the National League, it just gives teams more of an option to have like 4 legit outfielders or a couple catchers, couple infielders. Like, that's what it's going to be for the Atlanta Braves. So I think the designated hitter spot's going to be fine for Atlanta. So again, I just went over the entire Atlanta Braves depth chart, the entire roster. So my opinion doesn't change. I think they're the 3rd best team in the NL East, but I think it's very close. And if they stay healthy, now this is all predicated on no injuries. And of course, we know there's going to be injuries with not just the Braves, but every team in Major League Baseball. With this prediction video, just going in, if everything clicks well for each team, I think Atlanta's the third best team, but I would not be surprised if they rattle off a 96, 97, 98 win season and they're the NL East champs. I think the NL East is going to be an absolute dogfight this year. I think it is the best division in baseball. Well, the AL East is really good. Yeah, I'd probably put the AL East above the NL East, but it's very close. So let me know your guys' thoughts on if you think the Atlanta Braves are a real threat. Do you think the Mets are still the team to beat, or if the Phillies are the team to beat? I personally, if I had to rank it today, I think it's Mets, Phillies, Braves, but they're so close to where anything can happen. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the Atlanta Braves, your predictions for the NL East. I'm going to start doing these kind of videos for other major league teams. I know me and Ryan, once March hits, we're going to do a lot of WBC content, but we're also going to preview every single division. So that's just some fun content coming for you guys. And guys, we are 12 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting. So it is go time. So once spring training starts, once the season gets into full gear, like we post every day regardless, but the content's going to be a little bit more fun because obviously December, January, they're kind of like, you say the dog days of summer. It's kind of like the dog days of winter for Major League Baseball fans because it's kind of that dead period. But we're going to start ramping up. The season is almost here. Winter is almost over. So I'm very excited for that. But thank you guys for joining us. You guys have a good one.